Easter Sunday. My roommates are in the room. They're asleep. I can't record there, so enjoy nature with me. Okay, so this is going to be my March wrap up and my April TBR all wrapped in one because that makes it easier for me. I actually read a lot this month, and I have a lot of planned to read in the next month. So I'm being ambitious, though I might not read as much this month because tests are about to begin, midterms and everything. One of the books I read this month, right in the beginning of March, was Mindhunter by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. I'm gonna say it that way, but I don't know. So, Mindhunter. Now, this is a nonfiction book about the dude that kind of coined the term serial killer. He began the behavior unit in the FBI, right? Like if you watch Criminal Minds, he's the guy that kind of began that kind of behavioral science. And he studied it a lot. And this book goes into a lot of his thought process on creating it. It's low-key a memoir because it tells the story before he began that kind of study, but then it tells like the stories of a few of his cases. This is one of the very few books that I actually own. And I read most of it on physical copy, but then work began and I had to read the last little chunk of it. I think like the last 30% of it was on audiobook. It was on Scribd. If you don't have a Scribd subscription, right down here in the description, I'm going to put my little link to it. If you go and you click on this link and get a Scribd subscription from that link, I think it's like $9.99. You get 2 months free and I get 1 month free. So if you want to help me keep reading, I mean, right? But if you don't, it's fine. Okay, so other than that, most of the books I read this month were all on audiobook, and there was one I feel like on ebook, but all, Scribd appropriate. So the second book, and this is not in order because I can't remember the exact order I read things, but I read The Dragon Reborn, which is book 3 on the Wheel of Time series. I've been going through the Wheel of Time because of the watch-along that is going on Discord. Crap, I forgot her name. I'm gonna put her here. The booktuber that began it all, and I love her. I forgot her name right now. I'm sorry. So I've been going through that, and we've been talking. It's been super fun. I've always wanted, like not always, but since I've been on watching BookTube, I wanted to read the Wheel of Time series, but it's 14 books long. That's too many books, even for me. So I was a little bit daunted about the concept of reading it, but with other people, and you get to brag and talk and everything, and then it's been fun. It's been great decision on my part. So sorry, a little bit removed because of the sun. It moves apparently. Well, the earth moves. The sun doesn't move. And then people start thinking I'm a plain earther. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not a flat earther. Next, I did enjoy The Dragon Reborn. By the way, my first The Eye of the World wasn't that much fun for me. I enjoyed points of it, but I didn't enjoy the entire book as much as I could. I think I gave it 3.5 stars or something. I'm probably gonna make a review of it at some point. And then I read The Great Hunt. I really enjoyed that one. That's book 2. Really like that. That's what convinced me to put all the other books on my yearly TBR. And then I started The Dragon Reborn. It was a fun book. Most of the time, there was a few POVs that I just wasn't interested in, but as a general, I did enjoy myself very much. Then I read The Gilded Wolves and the Silvered Serpents by Roshani Chokshi. I believe that's how you say her name. This is the first 2 books in a trilogy. I think the 3rd book comes out this year, and it's YA fantasy. It gives me Six of Crows vibes. I didn't read the entire book of Six of Crows. Actually, I started reading it a couple of years ago, but I didn't like the audiobook, and I just stopped. But I'm gonna read it still this year. And it gives me Six of Crows vibes because it does have the heist plot. It has the misfits, found family plot, and like trope. And I enjoy myself very much because though it is YA, and it does have a few of the YA-isms that some people don't like, I do like YA most of the time, unless it's like Sarah J. Maas bad. I enjoy YA quite a lot, and I enjoyed the relationships, particularly in this book. The plot could be better, but I did enjoy the characters and the relationship. It has an autistic character. It has like this mixed race Hispanic dude. There's a lot of representation all around. Sometimes a little bit not too much representation because that's not a thing, but I feel like sometimes it's a little bit on the nose, the representation. Like she wants to show you, look, this is representative. And I'm not a big fan of that, but it is YA, so some things have to be a little bit more on the nose, right? So I'm okay with that. It was a pretty fun book. The first one, the Gilded Wolves. The first one, the Gilded Wolves, was my favorite. I did enjoy the Silver Serpents a lot, but I feel like the plot of the Gilded Wolves worked better for me. The magic system is based on basically like if the Tower of Babel, you know, the one in the Bible. When it got shattered, the little scraps of the Tower of Babel have like powers and can give people superpowers, and it's really intricate, really interesting. I really enjoyed the magic system in this book. If you enjoy YA and if you enjoyed Six of Crows, I feel like you might like this one quite a lot. The both. As soon as the third one comes out, I'm gonna make a series review of them. Then I read The Shadow Rising, also by Robert Jordan, in the Wheel of Time series. That's book 4. I really like this one. So most people say that once you get to book 4 on the Wheel of Time series, that's when you know if you're gonna love it or hate it. And I feel like I'm gonna love it. There's a few things still that I wasn't a big fan of, but the world really got deepened. I enjoyed the cultures that have been explained in this book. There was a lot of information. I enjoyed myself most of the time. Most of the point of views were very enjoyable to me. I read it in a week, I think, and that's a 40-hour audiobook, even if I listen to it at 1.5 speed. So you might understand how much I love it. Then I read A Darker Shade of Magic and The Gathering of Shadows. Those are the first 2 books on the Shades of Magic trilogy. I enjoyed A Darker Shade of Magic and The Gathering of Shadows, but The Darker Shade of Magic, book 1, I felt like it was a little bit unnecessary. The plot of it was too... how do I say this? The plot of it was too cliche. Like for a well-experienced fantasy reader, you know the beats. Like you know what's gonna happen, and it's a good introduction though. If you haven't ever read fantasy, first of all, how do you find my channel? Second of all, this would be a great book for you because it is YA fantasy, but it doesn't have a lot of the YA-isms that people are used to. You know, it's not like heavy on romance. It's not like overly dramatic. It's very much just a self-contained story. That's also a point. It is a self-contained story, and I like that a lot when it's a standalone. But when stories are meant to be in trilogies and they're self-contained, they made me a little confused. But that's fine. It was a fine. That's what it is. The shade of the first book was just fine, and I'm not looking for fine. I'm looking for great, right? But it did have enough personality and enough. The magic is dope. And Victoria Schwab has not written the bad book that I've read yet, so I enjoyed it enough to go into the second book, Gathering of Shadows. Now that book I enjoyed a lot more. The plot is smaller in scope, but it does have a certain charm to it. It leaves more time for you to enjoy the characters and deepen your connection with them. And then it made the first book feel unnecessary because I feel like the second book could have been the first one because it is a little bit more smaller and contained in scope. It could have just had like the first book be like a prologue or something, or a novella or a prequel, and that would have made it better for me because then I would have now this time to enjoy the characters a lot more. But that's, you know, I'm gonna be reading. I'm not gonna tell him. I'm gonna be to the TBR real soon. Wait up. So then I read To Catch an Heiress by Julia Quinn. I read this book because my friend Gigi is one of my best friends in the world, and she's a romance lover. Now I am not. Not that I don't like romance. I actually really enjoy romance in my stories. I like romance in fantasy. I know that that's like a sin to say. Most booktubers don't like romance in their fantasy. I love romance in my fantasy. I just like it to be good romance, and that's a little bit harder to find. But I do like romance, just in fantasy and at all, just in general. But the genre of romance, I find it hard to really latch on to. She told me that I would really like this book, so I began reading it, and it is a pretty fun story. It's just, you know, it's a romance. You know the ending, but it has enough of a plot and enough of like a witty banter between the two main characters that I enjoyed quite a lot. It makes it so. Also, one thing that I don't really like about the romance genre is that it's like the main character and the romantic interest. Like the other character usually is just the romantic interest, and this book makes it feel so there's like two agents in the relationship. I enjoyed that quite a lot. I gave this book 4 stars, I believe, or maybe 3.5. and it was enjoyable. It was pretty short. Great. I read this one on ebook. So then I read The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. Now, if you're looking for like a classic Stephen King book, go read The Shining or Misery, even though I haven't read either of those, but go read something that's more well claimed as to being his. I would recommend 11/22/63 because I think it's his best, but just take your pick. He has a bunch of books. This one, I didn't know, I went in blind, and Strip just recommended it to me, and it's a fairy tale, right? It's told as... It feels like a father reading like a book before their child go to bed, and I love that because that's what my father used to do to me. That's where my love of reading comes from. But it's just nonsensical. It's a fairy tale. The magic makes no sense. The story doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a lot more about the characters, the story that's trying to tell you, like the fable of it. And I enjoyed myself quite a lot. But if you're looking for a hard horror or at least mystery Stephen King book, maybe go to the next one. And then last but not least, I read Breach of Peace, that I do have a review of here in the channel. I'm gonna put it up somewhat. Go and watch it if you want to know. There's a spoilery part and a non-spoilery part, and I enjoyed that quite a lot. I gave it a 4 stars. Now, there are books that I've started before now April, but I haven't finished, and I'm gonna tell you about those right now. Okay, so one of the books that I started before even March, and then I'm gonna be reading it, and I think I'm gonna be ending it now in April, is this one. It's called The Anointed in English, I believe. It has another name, I think, in English, but it was translated and adapted in Portuguese to The Anointed. Now, this book is a nonfiction book about the story of the Bible. It comes in a series, I think it's 5 books, maybe 6, where it goes through from Genesis through Revelation, and the author Ellen White, she comments on the stories of each book of the Bible, and she goes like chapter by chapter. Every chapter of this has on the little bottom like what chapter in the Bible it corresponds to. It just analyzes the depth of character. It talks about cultural things that we missed because the book, the Bible was written in 3 very ancient, very dead languages. So we missed like some cultural background and some linguistics that we just have no way of knowing. And she comments about it. So I read about a chapter a day. That's why it takes me a little while, and because I like to actually study and understand. But it is a pretty fun book if you want to understand the Bible a little bit better. If you want to just understand the history of it a little bit better, I would recommend it. So I'm intending to finish this in March. Now, after that, I started reading this book. It's called Out of a Silent Planet, I think, in English, and it's by C.S. Lewis. It's part of the Cosmic Trilogy that he wrote as a bet with our Tolkien, and I think that's great. It is sci-fi, and I started reading it, well, because I got this for Christmas, I think, or for my birthday from one of my best friends. But a musical bookworm, Victoria from a musical bookworm, is hosting a read-along. It starts now, actually, in April, but I was a little naughty and I started a little bit early, but I'm still like 60% in of the book, and I just love this cover. It's beautiful. I intend to be finishing this one now in April and starting the second book that's called Perelandra, that I forgot to bring here, but it's a beautiful cover. I'm going to put a picture of it around somewhere. And now we go into the TBR for April. Sorry. But I forgot to mention that I'm also reading Winds of Strife by UJ Goodman. It is a self-published book. I'm reading it on ebook. It takes me a little longer because I don't have as much time to actually physically read things or ebook read things. I'm enjoying the plot. I'm enjoying the magic system, the world. I'm not so much a fan of the characters, which has been a problem for me, but I guess we'll see. I'll have a review up at some point. And I forgot to mention that I did a reread of Elantris this month with Ben the Book. Ben, the overlord that I met on Michael's Discord. It was fun. I enjoyed the book a little bit more the second time around. It's just an enjoyable, light, breezy book. Fun for me. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. So, April CBR. I'm gonna be going through this a little bit faster because I don't know a lot of this book. Like, I don't know the plot of lots of these books. I just kind of randomly picked them and then just let's go. Okay, so the first one, it's not in order, by the way, and I'm a mood reader, so don't take this as law. But the first one in my little list here is Perelandra which is book 2 in the Cosmic Trilogy, right? I just showed you. Then The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I want to read that one. It's on script to the other book because my best friend Ju, she just told me that she read it and she loved it. Like, she binged this audiobook in 2 days or 2.5 days or something. It was a weekend, and she said it's great, it's amazing. It's not fantasy, which is rare for both of us actually, but she says it's great. It's been doing the rounds on BookTube and Book Talk, so I'm gonna enjoy it and see how that goes. Then I want to read The Blade itself because lots of people in Michael's Discord keep telling me that it's like amazing and it's a great read, and Murphy likes it a lot, and LA Brooks, everybody seems to like the First Law trilogy. So I'm gonna be going with The Blade itself. Let's hope it's good, and I think I'm gonna enjoy it a lot because I do enjoy character focused stories. Now, then I want to read The Fires of Heaven. I'm about to begin that one today, actually. It is the book 5 in the Wheel of Time series, and I think it's going to be great. The story is really going at it, and I feel like I'm going to enjoy it a little bit more every day. Then there is Lord of Chaos, which is book 6. Yep, on the Wheel of Time trilogy. I have both of those for the month of April. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish both of them on April, but we never know, right? Like, I might binge them. We never know. So it's there. And then I have this tiny little self-help book. It's called Dreams. Well, I think it's called Dreams of Discipline. I don't know if they translated it different to English. This author is Augusto Cury. He's a Brazilian. He is a psychiatrist, I think. And he writes a lot of self-help, a lot of just deep thought books, and I felt like maybe I should be reading one of his books. So it's a tiny book. I think it's like 60 pages long, and I got it for free on Audible, I think. So I'm gonna be listening to that one very soon. Then I'm gonna be going through the third book in the Shades of Magic trilogy, which is called The Conjuring of Light. The second book left me on a cliffhanger. I cannot wait to see what's going on. I'm also gonna begin that one real soon. Last but not least, I'm going to be reading Ancillary Sword by Anne Leckie. I don't know. I hope I'm saying these names right, y'all. I'm a Brazilian. So I'm going to be reading that one with my friend Ju. She actually read it already. It's sci-fi. She read it already last year, I believe, and she wants to go into the second book. She doesn't remember a lot, so we're going to be rereading. Well, she's going to be reading it. I'm going to be, and we're going to be going through it in this month, see how I feel about it, because I'm not a big sci-fi person. I mostly read fantasy because I like character-focused stories, and sci-fi has a harder time with it. But last year I read the Expanse series, and I fell in love with it. So now I'm just looking for more sci-fi because I learned that it's not the genre that I don't like, it's just the way that the genre is approached by many authors. But some authors do it differently, and they do character development. So I'm going to be reading that and see how I feel about it. And that's my TBR approximately for April. I might read some things, I might not read other things, but I'm a reader, that's life. I hope to see all of you in my channel later. Please don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. And Julia, if you're watching this, bye.